Hi, I'm Suzie Boss, part of the National Faculty of the Buck Institute for Education, and I'm delighted to welcome you all here to the Green Room at PBL World in Napa, California. We just had a wonderful kickoff morning, a couple of keynote speeches, and we've got two of our student keynoters with us here backstage, and they're going to give us a little bit of a longer story than our participants here at PBL World got to hear this morning about their journeys as PBL students. But maybe they could introduce themselves first. Victor, you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Victor Arellano, and I've recently graduated from Impact Academy and in business school at Hayward.
Hi, my name is Wynne. I graduated in 2011 from Da Vinci Charter over in Davis, and I go to the George Washington University in D.C.
So here we have two living, breathing, recent graduates of PBL experiences through high school. Maybe we can start by having you tell us why you chose a PBL-focused high school in the first place. Both of these are high schools that do project-based learning wall-to-wall. You knew that going in, and I thought it was a bit of a decision to make about whether this is a good fit for you. So, Katie, do you want to start?
Sure. So I actually didn't go into, or I didn't choose to go into Da Vinci totally on board at first. A really good friend of mine who was a year ahead of me, Lexi, she told me about it, and it sounded interesting, but I didn't think it sounded serious because I really wanted somewhere that was going to, get me really far and give me the best tools that I could have. And so I actually was begged by my friend to just give it one more chance, and she even convinced my dad, who was very hard to convince of anything, that it was a good shot. So I went to a couple of the student days at Da Vinci, and I found that it was a little different, and it was a little, dare I say, kooky, but one thing that really struck me was that the students and the teachers were really excited to be there and were passionate about what they're doing, and the students were laughing with teachers, not at teachers, and that to me was a really big indicator that this was something different that I think that I could like. So I said yes, and I didn't regret it.
Fantastic.
Going forward.
Okay. And Victor, how about for you? What led you to Impact Academy?
So initially, I was supposed to start school at Tennyson High School, which is a public school in my city. But my mother didn't think it'd be a good idea since I already went to public school in my middle school years. But I took the opportunity because I thought it'd be better for my education, and I thought it'd help me be better off. And I knew a couple people going there, so I felt good about it, even though I wasn't totally on board. But I had my brothers with me, so I felt really good about it. And choosing to do project-based learning has been like one of the wisest investments I've made into my education now that I've graduated.
Yeah, after your keynote this morning, there were some audience questions, and I know some teachers asked you about, could you have been doing this from even earlier age? Neither of you got started with PBL until you were in high school, right? And so, as you look back, were there other experiences earlier in life that kind of start you thinking of yourselves as serious learners or people with ambitions, or did it really start to blossom for you not until high school?
I guess I'll go first. I think for me, there was one class in junior high that they had one assignment that was particularly project-based. It was essentially give a presentation on any issue that you feel passionate about, and so I ended up I was excited because there was choice involved, which is one of the pillars, and I ended up giving a presentation on AIDS advocacy and awareness, and so I think for me that really kind of sparked my interest in self-driven education and choosing to do something that you're excited about. But before that, I mean, there wasn't a lot, I would say.
Okay, and Victor, you said there were some kind of hands-on activities, what we might call dessert projects, in PBL language, but nothing really before high school that let you know kind of what it would be like to drive more of your own learning. And
initially, I never began doing any project-based learning in my public schools, but when I entered into my middle school, I was given the choice to choose a book and read it myself. Just the choice, again, being able to choose my own education path and just being able to choose what I want to study in my interest was one of the beginnings of my need for project-based learning.
Okay.
And for me, when I began reading this book, I thought about what more can I read, what more can I get into, and this is when I thought that I need to take charge of my education and actually find a way so I can incorporate my interests into projects and actually make a product rather than just reading a textbook all day in class.
Great. So really that just started by saying, what book would you like to read?
Yeah.
It's such an open question, but seems like a simple question, but can lead in powerful
directions,
right? Yeah. Okay, so maybe you could share for us again some of the ways that high school got you ready to be successful in this project-based learning environment. You talked about a class your 9th grade year that really kind of set you up for some success skills.
Yeah, so we had, because we matriculated into high school in 10th grade in DJUSD, and so our first semester we had a class called Research and Communications, and it was essentially how you do PBL at the basic level, which you then build off of in your later years. So what was the question again?
Oh, just kind of what got you ready, what got you prepared. You know, getting those success skills so you can collaborate, you can communicate.
Yeah. So it was, I think, the thing about that class was it was not so much we're going to teach you this part of the state curriculum using PBL. It was we're going to teach you about fun things using PBL. So you really had a chance to kind of just understand how you're going to be learning as opposed to focusing on learning when Napoleon did this. Or
it's really learning that some of those processes.
Yes, learning the process.
Okay.
Skills. Yeah.
And how about for you, Victor? What sorts of things kind of got you ready to learn to collaborate, for example?
What got me ready with a lot of the warm-ups in class, we were given in math class, we were giving a problem to do in the very morning, and we would all do it on our own independently, and then for 5 minutes, and then if we weren't able to get it, we were able to talk to our group mates and just discuss the problem, like, oh, how'd you do it? Oh, how did you get here? What formula did you use? Little things like this is what facilitated the collaboration in the very beginning when I first began high school, but later as we went, since it's a very close-knit community, there's not a lot of students in my class, we were able to really pair up really quick, and that kind of led the way for us to collaborate even more productively and kind of help us create even bigger projects, which required more like personal interactions, more trust in each other as partners, and just being able to work together to actually finish the project.
Okay, great. So if you just spoke to an audience of teachers who were here from all over the world to learn how to design and implement and manage project-based learning at a very high quality standard. We talked this morning about kind of the gold standard for great project-based learning. If you were to give some direct advice to teachers who want to go in this direction, what tip or two would you have to offer? As you think about teachers who really helped you with your journeys.
I'd say the biggest tip is be ready for some flexibility. Every project is unique in its own way. We can all follow a standard curriculum, but giving the ability to be flexible in a project like my sophomore teacher in pre-calculus gave to me, so I was able to do my project, but add a unique flavor of my own interest to the project was what really got me excited about my work. And I think this excites us students, and giving this excitement of being able to do the project the way you want is a really big thing in like motivating students to be educated oriented. Okay,
Katie, would you add to that?
Well, I would agree with Victor. First of all, it's giving students a little bit of choice and flexibility is great. I would also say, and this might sound a little odd, I think teachers should be prepared to embarrass themselves in front of their students. For teenagers, it's extremely awkward to be asked to give a presentation. And at Da Vinci, they actually bring in members of the community who know something about the issue, and then they present lines of questioning. So it's asking a lot of teenagers, and I think that when we have teachers who are willing to sort of embarrass themselves a little with the students and kind of show that it's okay to be vulnerable, it opens the students up to be less afraid of failure and to be more willing to just kind of jump in with both feet.
Okay, so we need risk-taking, flexible, courageous teachers. Yeah, awesome. Okay, I think we've got a group of them here, from what I've been able to detect so far. Okay, so a couple more questions. One is, one of the reasons for schools being so interested in project-based learning is that it's getting kids ready for the future ahead of them. It's citizens, for college, for whatever career path they take. So maybe you could talk a little bit. You're just a recent college graduate, and you're getting ready to head to college. So we've got different, catching you at different kind of points on your journeys. But maybe you could talk a little, Katie, about how PBL prepared you for college success. And also you mentioned this morning, you didn't get to do a lot of projects in college, but you kept your PBL chops very, very much alive. So tell us about the college readiness, and then how do you kind of keep building on those success skills?
Yeah, so I think in terms of getting me ready for college, PBL really taught me that you have to get excited about what you're learning, because you'll learn a lot more when you're passionate about it, and that sometimes you have to play lots of roles in your own learning experience. And I kind of think of different projects where I play different roles, like a politician versus, you know, a famous historian or something. So I think you learn to be adaptable, and you learn that you really have to put in to get stuff out. And then in terms of keeping up my PBL skills in college, for me, those really came out in my internships and my student organization experiences, where everything is project-based, because the student org is just that, it's run by students, and everything is a project, and you have to set the project yourself. So internships, student org experiences, and not a lot in the classroom, unfortunately.
So you kind of went looking for those experiences that would let you keep doing things, doing other things.
And I think that is also a product of being a PBL student.
Sure. Okay. Okay. And Victor, tell us where you're headed to college, and kind of why that's such an exciting choice, and then how PBL has gotten you ready for that.
So I will be attending the University of Pennsylvania this summer. I'm accepted into the Early Start program, and it's very exciting because I get to be the first student in my entire school district to attend an Ivy League institution, and I think it's I'm really honored to be the first. Not only that, but the PBL model has taught me that to really be driven, you have to immerse yourself into your own work. That to really be interested in what you do, you have to really get hands-on with it. Be able to create your own projects. During my WLE experiences, building off of what you said, I was assigned to go to find a job. Finding a job is a real-world skill, and these real-world skills about communicating, keeping up with your resources, following back with emails, and just being professional is something that's really imperative when going to college. And I think once I go to college, these skills of like management and scheduling and communication are really big. Bigger than just knowing how to read a book and just like pointing out and summarizing little things, but just a lot of the real life skills is what's really been like helping me move forward in college.
Okay. And the academic side, it sounds like you described yourself as a math person.
Yeah.
Just anything you want to say on the math, to the math folks who wonder if math is even possible to teach in PBL?
Yeah, definitely. I think math is one of the biggest ones that can be taught. I think once you find a way to add math and put it into an art itself is really the key, because you can give someone mathematics and all they'll see is numbers, but when you can put math in terms of language, in terms of a graph, in terms of money, in terms of other things that connect to the real world, showing kids that math actually relates to the world and you can use it in everyday life is one of the bigger components of math, and that's why I love math, because I deal with finances all day. You're going to need it for FAFSA and for college and all these other things. That I think math is one of those skills that it's necessary.
Fantastic. Okay, and Katie, you want to tell us a little bit about what's just ahead for you?
Sure. So this fall I'll be returning to GW as a Presidential Administrative Fellow. So that means that I'll be pursuing my master's in global advocacy, and I'll actually be working within GW's administration in their Office of Cross-Disciplinary Collaboration. So I'm excited to sort of maybe bring some of the things I learned from PBL into that office and kind of go from there. And I'll graduate in 2 years and look for a job.
Fantastic. And it sounds like you'll be well prepared for whatever direction it may go.
I hope
wonderful.
so.
Well, thank you both for sharing some of your insights. You know, we talk a lot about the importance of student voice in designing great projects, and I think you two really bring that home. Just how essential it is to be listening to student voice, to be nurturing it and encouraging it, and because you kind of personify what's possible when great things happen in the classroom. So thanks for your time, and we'll be checking back throughout the week with more updates from PBL World. So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.